Hi guys, I'm Marticore, and today I want to talk about mods for The Sims 2 that I don't use. Mods that you will never see in my Let's Plays, but maybe you'd like to know they exist, in case you don't. Let's go! Something that I can't imagine having is default replacements for the Max's face templates. I love them, I memorized them. I do have custom templates in my game, but they are all additional ones. Same for the baby bottle, it has to be green. I can change a lot of The Sims 2, but these two things are the core of the game that I will never replace. Another thing is the firstborn syndrome fix. It comes with Sims 2 RPC made by one and only Lazy Duchess, and I don't use it in general as it crashes my game a lot more than it normally does, and I don't really need it. If I feel the need to roll the generator, I just use the bat box for that, occasionally. But the firstborn syndrome, or more accurately, the sequence syndrome, is something that I like to use from time to time, take advantage of it. I leave the household a few times during labor to get the baby I want, so sometimes if I get the perfect baby but the wrong gender, I just quit the entire game and wait for the same baby to pop up the next time, hoping it's gonna be the opposite sex. Also, I always make sure all kids in one family differ in some way, so the syndrome doesn't really bother me. Maybe except the fact that for some reason the second baby of the sequence has their personality copied from one of the parents, but I can live with that. Oh, I don't use the mod for more variated personality genetics because I like the game's system even with all the annoyances. I like seeing some traits being copied from parents but also being surprised from time to time with the randomness. There's a mod that lets you choose the baby's last name at labor. Pretty useful when the parents have different last names, so it doesn't just go for the sim who gave birth as the default name provider. But with how I repeat one labor multiple times, it would be super annoying as the pop-up appears before you name the baby, so I would have to click on it every time. If I want to change the baby's last name, I'll just use last name copier. I think I should mention the Intinimator, because that's a mod I used to use and don't anymore. It has been a few years that I haven't. I had some problems with it, some glitches happening, and just decided it's time to let it go. I don't really need teen pregnancy in my game, and if I want it for a particular story, I'll just throw in Wild Child temporarily and do it this way. I don't need to have this kind of mod all the time. And when it comes to risky woohoo and birth control and all that stuff that came with Intinimator, I'm usually a control freak when it comes to population, so even in ACR that I do use, I set risky woohoo to 0%. Adult teen romantic interactions are not something I need in my game anymore. It can be a little off-putting sometimes, and the animations get butchered, so whatever. Speaking of butchered animations, another one that I don't need is the height mod, again made by Lazy Duchess. It's a very cool concept. I like that you can just randomize the heights and that it stays until the next time you launch the game. I have a lot of respect towards that mod, but again, I just don't need it. Same for story progression from the same modder. I've tested it, it's fine, but I play rotationally, so there's no point. I don't really care about synchronizing my households. After people started moving houses, it can be a summer Monday in one family and a winter Thursday in another, and I don't pay attention to it. Because story progression can also be useful for that, for just synchronizing. And this mod would mess up my university system as I treat it as frozen time, and even with all the settings the mod comes with, that's just not doable. Also, the age differences between siblings can get really out of sync when one of them goes to college and the other doesn't. It just doesn't work very well with college in general. But it is a very cool mod if someone doesn't play rotationally and wants to have something happening in other families. And of course I am still in awe that this was even possible to make. Not all of my Sims go to college. I decide that looking at their wants on the last day of teenagehood. And the Sims with no higher education usually don't become surgeons, high-level scientists, teachers, etc. But I wouldn't go as far as getting the education is good mod. It blocks Sims that never went to college from being promoted past level 5 in all careers. I manage it manually by just not making them learn the skills or using the job stopinator mod. Not all careers make sense to be blocked. Someone who only graduated high school can easily become a professional party guest or succeed in sports. The idea for this mod is great, but it's just too restrictive. Single plate leftovers. This is a mod that was probably recommended to me the most, but I really don't mind the original system of leftovers. If only one sim is hungry, I make them get a single serving from the fridge, and when there are more people who could eat, I'll make one sim get a serving platter, and then multiple sims can eat from it. It's simple tactics. And I despise the idea of making it an extra option on the food. Like with this mod you have to click 2 times to put away leftovers, because there's a sub-menu. My muscle memory is so used to the current system that I would go nuts if I had to suddenly click twice. The fewer clicks, the better. Saijon has a very cool mod, one of hundreds, called Smarter Serving. Basically, it makes your Sims not serve food for like the NPC remote control car, for the baby in the crib, and you know, all the people that will not eat, like the penguin and stuff like that. I don't think they actually serve for the RC car, but it's my favorite joke. But unfortunately, this mod makes already existing food unusable. Sims can only clean it up, except that it will say resume cooking on it. That doesn't really work. And when Sims try to get leftovers, the plate just disappears. There's not even an error. This is not a mod conflict, it's explained in the description of this mod that it's just something that you have to go through when starting to use this mod. And that's just too much for me. Lose all the leftovers made by servos who are obsessed with cooking? That's a lot of food waste. There's a mod that lets Sims inherit the inventory from a deceased Sim. The stuff just moves to another Sim's inventory, kind of like in The Sims 3. I see how it can be useful, and there are very singular situations when I forgot about some more important objects and they got obliterated, but 99% of the time this would be my personal annoyance. And I pretty much never look into Sims inventories. Sometimes I notice a cake or a pizza put there as leftovers like 30 years ago. So it's very convenient for me that if they die, the forgotten objects just die with them. The fact that I don't use inventory that much is also the reason why I don't use the Sims 3 trait system in The Sims 2. I would never remember to even give those traits to my Sims. If it was just like a decoration kind of thing that I look into the inventory of the Sim and I'm like, oh, this Sim is lucky, or this Sim is a vegetarian, I would never remember to look into that. But if you want the traits to actually have a function, that is a lot of files to download. It's definitely not something that I want to go through. I do have higher bills set up by a mod, but I don't have them for apartments. I feel like rent itself is already extremely high, so bills can just stay vanilla. It's challenging enough. That's it! Let me know if you found something you actually need on this list and how beautifully we all differ. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video and see you in the next one. Bye!